Blessed morning, souls. Jupiter is finally in Aries. It's finally here. Tomorrow is the winter solstice. Today is the day of 2-0. And so connection with Almighty, being brought into balance with the self, guided by intuition. But the feeling and experiencing of this in the physical realm, in the actual body. There is a quietude, a peace, still some nervousness, but there is a new appreciation in the energy that I'm feeling, experiencing today. An uncertainty and appreciation of that uncertainty. A growing awareness that if all things were known and all things were certain, there could be no growth. There could be no more experience of knowing, of learning, of discovering. Awareness that even in the body as experienced by breath, we have to have the out-breath to feel that constriction, to feel the tightness, in order to feel the expansion and the power of that. There must be this withdrawal, this diminishing, in order to truly appreciate and experience the shining, the expanding, the glowing, the burning, the becoming. This today is the only circuitry that I was drawn to expand. This to me illustrates the breath almost perfectly. It is many things. It is all things. That feeling of beginning in a smaller state, in a diminished state, that must exist in order for the expansion to take place. In order to know, there must first be not knowing. There must first be confusion for there to be the experience of clarity. And so all things ultimately serve the highest good, the highest self. I am not sure what message is coming out today. And I desire to express this, that I too am on this journey, along with all of you, along with all of the earth and humanity. I am only sometimes wise because I often know nothing. And lean into that. Lean into the knowing of nothingness, into the feeling of simply the breath moving with no other meaning revealed, no deeper purpose, just the feeling of expansion and constriction, so that there may be expansion again. We are pushed towards ourselves in this energy, towards the nurturing and love of self in bold new ways. Jupiter in Aries, Ceres in Libra, Chiron as well, interacting in Aries. I had just learned Chiron has had interaction in Aries since 2018. It has been some time we've experienced this. Chiron is the planet. Planet is a planetary body. It is a chunk of rock, which we define in various ways. It is the celestial body of self-healing. It is deeply related to the master number of 11. Chiron is in Greek mythology, the centaur who possessed godly knowledge of healing. He could heal all other wounds, but he did not know how to heal himself. And so it is Chiron comes to teach us this knowledge, how to heal the self, how to love and accept the self, how to remove the poison barbs from one's own heart, and let the light stream into that wound. By its exposure, by its vulnerability, become stronger. Jupiter in Aries makes this a profound push forwards. I am seeing the Strength card, which, although it is Leo energy, it is fire. There is almost a sense of cauterization with this, which I do feel is a bit how transmutation works. Calling the violet flame into the self, the healing by exposure, by full awareness and attention on that space, and by allowing, by accepting it, not resisting any experience of pain, rather allowing it to serve the self, calling it to the surface, showing it it is worthy of love exactly as it is. This is what the Empress does. She perceives no threat. All emotion within her, it is welcome. It is serving. It is called forth to speak, to let be exactly as it is, with no force of change, no judgment, no condemnation. Let it be, let it express. What does it wish to say? And so in this allowance, the emotion itself discovers it is free. It need not be any particular thing. This is how shadow is sublimed, integrated, revealed to itself as child of light, that it need not play in the darkness. It need not engage in fear-based power struggles. It too has the opportunity to evolve, to grow, to serve its highest self as something desired, something higher. We are being asked to look very closely at the way we treat ourselves. How have we held ourselves back? Look at this. Divine counterparts as well, gazing from a distance at one another. This is many levels of energy. But it takes place within first. The moon. All of this rising to the surface, all of these emotions we had held back from ourselves. Realizing sometimes how poorly we treat the self, how we do not communicate clearly within our own kingdom, our own body. How often we shut down these emotions of self-worth, of selfishness, because of that word being maligned and misaligned by popular culture. I am here to reclaim this word, souls, to cleanse its vibration. The word selfish in its original meaning, and this has been spoken before, this has been transmitted, but it comes again now. The word selfish is ancient in origin. It is among the first, the proto-languages. And it means exactly what it says. Self-ish, that which is like the self. What is the self? It is that which is mine. It is my own experience, my identification. It is me. It is I. And it has nothing to do with the trappings of this being. It is the core of me, which is myself. And so something that is witnessed as being very like to this, that is selfish. That is the meaning of this word. That is the core, pure vibration of it. To see another, to see anything, an action taken, an emotion expressed, any of this which sparks at our deepest level that connection, that recognition of, yes, this is me, this is of my same kind, this is selfish. That is the meaning of the word. It means authentic. It means true, pure, to the nature of your being. That is it. It has nothing to do with greed or maliciousness. No, that was invented with the word selfless. You see, that word did not exist. That is not a word that was given to us by intuition. All things name themselves by their own vibration, by the experience of that energy. It emanates from the mouth. It is spoken. This is how we come to call each thing what it is. But the word selfless, that word was invented by man. Not just mankind, but one single man. One individual. In the 1500s, a Presbyterian clergyman. One. This is not to cast judgment upon Presbyterians or upon anything to do with that, although religion is antichrist, which has been discussed in another video. Suffice to say, Shadow was displeased with the inability to manipulate those who were self-empowered, those who were selfish. It found this threatening. It sought control over this. And so, the word selfless, which means exactly what it says in truth, it is that which is without the self. It is self-diminishing, self-lessening, was defined as the opposite. It was given the attributes of the word selfish and held up as foil, as counterpart. Now this word, which had defined itself selfish, became associated with the shadow. A very clever trick. A very clever trick. And this is how fear has ruled for so long. By illusion, by deception. Come along, friend. It is this particular kind of energy which would have the masculine aspect, the protective aspect, shut down true selfish love in saying that there is something wrong with it. It is dangerous, it is inappropriate. It is this, the shadow ego, which would define selfishness as somehow to the detriment of self, when it cannot be so. True loving action, true compassionate action is always to the benefit, no matter what. Love cannot harm. It is the nature of it. Love begets love, no matter what. And if love is given, is offered, and is run from, what does this reveal but that one is running from the self, that they are afraid to be loved, that they feel unworthy of this in some way. And if it is said that a boundary is crossed in the giving of this love, there is no such thing, souls. Only shadow ego perceives the threat and so seeks to defend against it. At the level of energy, there is no boundary. There are like components. And if they are like, they blend freely. And if they are not like, they do not. It is that simple. This is meted out by universal law, universal order. It is as oil and water do not mix. And so if a boundary is felt to be crossed, it is revealed that the energy is not being owned. And now one has the opportunity to learn this. Everything that is manifested into your experience is allowed by you. You are the creator. You decide. Once this is accepted, once this is acknowledged, it is understood that the perceiving of the threat is what allows that to touch us. As Abraham speaks, have you noticed everything there is a war against has gotten bigger? This is because by your focus upon it, you are giving energy to it. You are adding to it. You are creating only more. An emotion, which is energy, only ever begets more of itself. If there is fear, if there is an action taken in fear, if there is a pushing against, this is only creating more of that thing in your experience. The Empress knows this. The Empress is aware that the burden is the boundary. She need not keep up walls. Keeping up walls means the keeping of an army charging against them. Releasing this burden, releasing this boundary, dropping the guardedness, experiencing the power of true vulnerability. That is how one lives in providence. That is the power of perception. That is how you align with the universe. And the universe has your back in all things. By the owning of energy, by the realizing that everything in your experience is to your benefit. You need only tilt your head at the right angle to see it. And once you do see it, it cannot be unseen. There is deep, deep energy, layered energy in all of this. This applies to divine masculine and feminine collective. This applies to the general energy of the world, of the collective, the earth herself realizing this, and it is individual. The truth of our own guardedness rising to the surface. How much we have held back from others, now coming for us to look at and to accept. In so doing, we discover our own inherent balance, inherent worth, inherent value. Judgment. Yep, all of this being brought to the surface right now with clarity. Realizing how harshly we have judged ourselves. And in so doing, anything that is done to the self is done to all self. Anything that is done to another is done to one. It is all balanced and reflective. And so it must begin within. If you seek to love others truly, you must love the self first. And once you do, once you find that compassion, that belief in the goodness of your being, it is unlocked for all. It cannot be unseen. Now all appear the same, perfect, resplendent, shining, limitless beings, each and every one of us. But for this to be known without, it must be experienced within. This is what the energy is coming to teach us. How to expand beyond our own internal comfort zones. How to love ourselves more deeply, more fully, more truly. To embody our desires. Oh, dropping cards. And there's a lot breaking free in this. Oh, so much is breaking free. That interconnectedness. Something we have not felt for a long, long time. I do feel a nervousness. Nervousness at the uncertainty. An opportunity to trust, an opportunity to lean into that. To go with the flow and let the flow go. The shadow energy, the resistance, is being released. It is being dissolved by this. My experience of it is like tar. It's very thick and opaque. And when you try to remove it, it only sticks more. You dip your finger into it to scrape it away and come away sticky. But self-love, angel energy, it is not quite like oil, but it is viscous. And it seeps beneath the tar and just loosens, just lifts it away, gives it space to breathe. So the truth of what is beneath that surface is revealed. And then the tar disperses. Things beginning to flow again. Things we have been guarded against. Emotions stirring in the deep, which have frightened us in the past, but now have become intriguing. Look at that. All of this led by divine feminine rising. Self-love coming to the surface. Yeah, the release of self-judgment. All of these guilts of the past. The past does not exist. It only affects your present because of continued focus upon it. Because of the feeling there is something about it that is changing our worth. Because of this lack of self-love. We are beginning to realize we have never been off the path. This has always been the highest road. All of these things perceived as disappointments, actually to our benefit. All for the assistance of this, the connection with the self, Two of Cups. We could not be at this place on our journey without having been everywhere else. All of it, part of our evolution, our expansion. Not one portion a mistake. And so the disappointment is transformed. Look at that. takes on a newer tinge. There is an appreciation for it. Again, like the appreciation of constriction. The opposite polarity must be known for the lighter half to be experienced in full. This is the whole purpose of the experiment of Earth, the great experiment. Source, self, seeked to know itself beyond the shadow of doubt, and it allowed for all things to be possible. It believed that itself was love and light and life, but it wanted to know. It wasn't satisfied just to believe it. It wanted to experience, to know without question. And so the allowance of consciousness to descend into heavy, dense realms of reality for the full and physical, visceral playing out of this experience of self, for self to express in every possible form that could be imagined. And so it has been for eons. But now the experiment is concluding. Self has desired to know itself and realized individually and collectively. What is it that is desired? Love, light, connection with one another, free expression with appreciation for all things, a dropping of the defenses, a realization that there is no threat. Eight Pentacles reversed. That is a curious one. The desire to work with the self. Now it has been realized. We have looked at this for long enough. It is the conclusion of this experiment. We have been debating for so long if this cup was worthy of flowing, questioning ourselves. Oh, there is such tension in the energy. That feeling of unknowing. Yeah. Tired of working against ourselves. The tower is directly underneath with Temperance, bounding it. The Empress with the Five of Cups. Tired of not expressing, tired of questioning this, of wondering, what are we really building towards? What seeds am I sowing? This has been the whole experiment. All of this a realization that being is simply for the sake of being. There need not be a deeper meaning to it. It is just about the experience. I am myself here, sitting, questioning. Fearing if I am even interpreting correctly. What is this about? What is this meaning? Am I delivering this message appropriately? Is there a message here? I say to you again, I am along the journey just as all else. And some days the message is just to exist, to stop seeking some deeper, more profound understanding, explanation. That is the desire of the mind, to intellectualize. It's time to stop looking so closely and just let it be. It is enough to let love serve itself. It is enough simply to let the cup flow and to delight in the flowing of it. There is no deeper meaning to it than that. It is self-serving, self-satisfying. We need not understand it. Only stop restricting it and let it be. That is how things come to balance. And again, it is simply for the delight of the balancing, not for some greater purpose, not because of some war of light versus dark. There is no such thing. Not because you are off the path and trying to get back on it. No, none of that is true. The truth is, this is all just self expressing for the delight of it, for the simple satisfaction of being. And sometimes we desire to experience the contrast, the cold, so we may know again the sweet relief of heat. And simply that, not because there is a greater lesson in it, just because it enhances our experience, because the contrast adds form and color to the landscape of our being. We need not look so closely at everything. We need not be afraid of any expression being a certain thing or way. It is enough on its own to let it flow, to simply express. That is all self desires. We so often seek this deeper meaning and feel afraid when we cannot find it. The emotion is the reason for itself. It exists to be flowed. Nothing else. For the experience of flowing it. This is all self-desires, all source wants. And so, I will not endeavor to effort this, to push out something that needs not be pushed. Simply let it be. Perhaps then this is the whole message. I do not know. I know only it is a beautiful day, full of wonder. I know there is something rising up in me, an awe, an appreciation of this, an appreciation of the not knowing, for the promise of knowingness that comes on its heels. And so there is sweetness added to all things, and all is perceived as to my benefit. And that alone is more than enough. I am alone more than enough. You are right now, already with nothing added. You are more than enough. You need not do, say, or be a single thing to be witnessed as perfect, as beloved, as flawless, exactly as you are in this moment. I love you so much. Let us simply breathe today and enjoy the sensation of breath filling the body and leaving so that it may fill it again. For this alone is more than enough in all that is desired by the highest self, by divine, by source, by the spirit which is in and is all of us. So it is. Have a beautiful day, beloveds. Do not question yourself or do whichever you choose. But know, no matter what, you are right. You are appropriate. You are correct in every aspect of your being. And you are allowed to be exactly as you be. Source demands nothing else. Nothing is required. Your existence is justification for itself. I love you.